Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a few awesome products that AliExpress was kind enough to send over for review. Now, throughout the year, I do pick up a lot of stuff from AliExpress. You've probably seen my mini PC videos, little gaming PCs, and things like that, but they've got so much more to offer over on their website. From electronics, household goods, clothing, you name it, they've got it, and their slogan is better choice, better price. If you're interested in checking out what they've got, I'll leave some links to their website down below. And right now, you can actually use code WOW328 and get $10 off your $50 purchase, or code ALLONAE and get $20 off your $100 purchase. But like I mentioned, they did send a few products over to take a look at, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first one we have on the list is the R36S Retro Handheld. This actually has a 3.5-inch IPS display with a resolution of 640 by 480, a rock chip 3326, and this is running ArcOS, so it's a very familiar operating system, capable of playing thousands and thousands of retro games. And I'll tell you, build quality here is much better than I thought. Now, we've seen the RS6 in the past, but this is the 6S version. Love the screen. I mean, it's got a really nice little IPS here. D-pad feels pretty good. Definitely have a conductive pad behind it. Dual analog sticks. And I've got the clear black version, but if you head over to AliExpress, you can see they offer 3 different color variants. They've got the white, crystal purple, and the smoke black, which we have here. Been messing around a bit with the RS6S, and here's some Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. Got Altered Beast, one of my favorite games. For these lower end games, not a problem to run them on this system. Next up, we've got some Dreamcast with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I actually wanted to check out this D-pad, and it's not all that bad. It's a little firmer than I'd like. It's got some pretty decent roll to it. After a little bit of use, it will wear in a little better, so I'll be able to pull these special moves off a little more. And finally, we've got some PlayStation with Bloody Roar 2. Keep in mind, I did turn the music off inside of the game because it's copywritten music, but it'll play these games really, really well. We've got a really awesome, very pocketable retro emulation handheld known as the Miyoo Mini Plus. Definitely one of my favorite little carry-around handhelds. It's coming in with a super small form factor, and you can pick this up in a few different colors. Personally, I love this transparent purple version, but if we head over to the AliExpress website, you can see they've got the retro color variation. They've also got a white version, transparent black, and of course the transparent purple. And remember, if you use code WOW328, you can get $10 off your $50 purchase. Very easy to use interface here. From the main menu, we've got our recent favorites, games, apps, and our settings. Going into each one of these sections from games will allow us to kind of choose the game we'd like to play. And from here, these are a lot of standalone emulators straight in the game section. We've got GBA, Game Boy, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, NES, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, PC Engine. I'll tell you, given the lack of analog sticks and the power the CPU's putting out, basically we can go up to PS1 on this unit. Moving over to some Sega Genesis or Mega Drive in other parts of the world, we've got Gunstar Heroes. And this is another one of those emulators that's going to run really well on this device. So we've got basically the full Mega Drive / Genesis catalog that we can play on the go here. And I'm not sure how well it's coming across on camera, but as we know, a lot of these Genesis games use really bright colors, those bright blues and greens, like the Sonic franchise, and these games look so good on this little IPS display. Okay, so here we have some PlayStation 1, and I just wanted to show you some of these standalone emulators do have their own dedicated settings. So for this one here, we do have some frame skip going on, and I'm going to turn the FPS on. So it's now in the lower left-hand corner, and obviously we've got frame skip set to auto. It's going to need it for harder to emulate games, so something like Bloody Roar 2 and even Tekken 3 will require a little bit of frame skip, but it's not noticeable. Usually I really do hate using it, but on the smaller display, it's still really smooth. And while I'm here, I figured I'd test out one more PlayStation 1 game, Gran Turismo, and it seems to be working great. I'm actually having a little bit of trouble here because I've got the camera filming the screen. It's a bit hard to play this racing game here while I'm filming the screen and everything, but if I did have this closer to me, I shouldn't have an issue with it. Something like Colin McRae Rally 2.0 is a really good example. Sticking with the same theme here, we've got another very pocketable retro emulation handheld, and this is known as the RG35XX Plus. This is the upgraded version of the original RG35XX, and again, they do offer several colors over on AliExpress. I've got the white version here. You can opt for the transparent black version, which I like to call smoke. They've also got the retro coloration, and of course, the white. To the RetroArch section, scrolling down the list, there's a lot of systems here. We've got ports, Naomi, Atomis Wave, Nintendo DS, MSX, WonderSwan, Neo Geo Pocket, PC Engine, original Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Gear, Sega Master System, Genesis, Super Nintendo, Famicom, Game Boy Advance, Game & Watch. Lots of MAME that we can mess around with, like HB MAME. We've also got some vertical arcade games. Final Burn Neo, Neo Geo, CPS 1, 2, 3, PlayStation, Dreamcast, OpenBore, and PSP. And when it comes to overall performance, this H700 can do these lower-end emulators just fine. Really like having this nice bright IPS display and a vertical form factor playing these GBA games. Plenty of power for original PlayStation emulation. Here's Twisted Metal 2. I've also tested out Tekken 3, Crash Bandicoot, and Gran Turismo. Not too bad. I mean, yeah, it doesn't take much to run PlayStation nowadays, but just knowing that we have really good support here is awesome. But I gotta say, one of the most surprising things here is Dreamcast emulation. I figured I was gonna get in here even with, let's say, Soul Calibur, and it was just gonna be a mess. But as you can see, I mean, this game is playable. Now, it doesn't mean that every single game is going to run at full speed, because we are using the Flycast emulator here, or the Flycast core. It is using frame skip in the background, so when we move over to something like DOA 2, you can really notice it. But games like Jet Set Radio, Crazy Taxi 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 run really good on this little device. And the final item we have here is the GameSir X2 Pro. This has been one of my favorite mobile controllers, and you've probably already got an Android device in your pocket. You can play your favorite games on that device. You can also do a lot of emulation. Most of the times, you're going to have more power than the smaller handhelds out there on the market, and having a controller like this does come in really handy. So with the GameSir X2 Pro, they offer two different color variants. The one we have here is the white version, but they also offer a black, and this doesn't connect to your device using Bluetooth. It actually has a USB Type-C connection. This is what's known as a telescopic or a stretchy controller. The X2 Pro does utilize Hall effect analog triggers, but when it comes to the analog sticks themselves, these are the ALPS or the ALPS 3D joysticks, which we've been using for years. This is a great controller, and given the fact that we don't have any kind of latency because it is USB Type-C, really does make it one of the best on the market. And remember, if you use code WOW328, you can get $10 off of your purchase of $50 over on AliExpress. It is spring-loaded with a pretty heavy-duty spring in here, so you can hurt yourself if you let this thing snap back on your skin, so just be careful about it. But we're going to go ahead and throw the Pixel 6a in here. This is the smallest device we'll be putting in the controller today, and I just wanted to show you here because it does leave a little of the edges visible. It's just a much smaller device than some of the gaming phones on the market or the higher-end Samsung phones, so just be aware that if you've got a smaller device, you might not fill that controller completely up. So starting off light here with the Pixel 6a and Minecraft. This is one of those games that's been on the market for a while. It works with basically every controller that I've ever tested it with. And when it comes to the GameSir X2 Pro, it's no different here. Didn't have to do any kind of mapping whatsoever. It's just a native Android game with really great controller support. And I've been messing around with these analog sticks for a little while. They're actually quite good. It's using ALPS analog sticks. Of course, it would have been really nice to have Hall sensors with all of the stuff on the market right now with them. But these do work out great for gaming and emulation. Next thing I wanted to do was take a look at the D-pad here. Now, I personally like a little bit of play or a little bit of pivot with the D-pad. This one doesn't have much at all. It's using a clicky style D-pad, but it does work. I mean, I'm able to pull off the moves here, and you could always use the analog sticks if you want to. But once I move down here, actually really nice. It does take a second to get used to if you normally use a D-pad with a nice little pivot to it. But as you can see, it does work out with these fighting games, and that's really important to me when it comes to emulation and a D-pad. And speaking of a little more emulation, here we have PS2 using AetherSX2. I use the automatic mapper that's built into the app itself, and the gamepad just mapped itself. It's working in X input mode, and I can hug these lines pretty well in Gran Turismo 4 with these analog sticks. And the final thing I wanted to take a look at was playing native Android games that don't natively support controllers, like Genshin Impact. I really wish they would add it. Personally, I use Mantis Buddy, and what this allows us to do is map our physical buttons to on-screen touch controls. And like I mentioned, GameSir does have their own app. You can head over to their website to download it, but I've already had Mantis Buddy set up for so long on this device here, I figured I'd go ahead and use it. And with the Mantis app I'm using here, I already had it set up with an Xbox controller, so I didn't have to do any extra mapping here. You can activate without any kind of root or anything like that, but you will need to enable USB debugging. But it's totally possible to use this controller with games that don't natively support controllers by using a third-party app of some sort. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you're interested in picking up any of these products from AliExpress, I'll leave links for everything in the description. And remember, you can use code WOW328 to get $10 off of your order over $50, or you can use code ALLONAE to get $20 off your order of $100 or more. These discount codes are valid from March 18th to March 27th, so definitely jump on it. And AliExpress is running their anniversary sale deal right now. You can get up to 70% off selected products. So definitely check it out. Links for everything are down below. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.